Testing 1, 2, 3. Okay, voice check, voice check. All right, and then mic check. All right. Cool. So we are back just because I wasn't satisfied with the last list. A couple things have changed. First of all, they renamed most of these tiers, I believe. Yeah, for the most part, they're renamed. I feel like there's a better directory for the most part as well. Secondly, a lot more movies now. Yeah, that's about it really. So and there's still like I should say now there's still a good handful of movies I didn't get to watch for 2023, but I don't want to put off this video any longer into 2024 because that's just catty at that point. You're just stretching at that point, right? Your mind is stuck in 2023 if it goes on, if I push this back any longer. So I'm just like, you know what? I'm just gonna get it over with. Some things I should mention though. Some movies I didn't watch up here. I didn't get to watch Dream Scenario. I didn't get to watch Priscilla either. It's 2023, right? Yeah, it's 2023. Yeah, I didn't even see Elvis back in 2022. Rebel Moon. Okay, I do gotta talk about this for a second though. Zack Snyder, right? You know, it's kind of a controversial name. You know, you either love him or you hate him. It's almost like there's no in between. I mean, I'm in between, if I'm being honest, but and like I said, you know, I've heard nothing but negative things about this movie, but you know, I've always been, yes, the reviews are out. But here's my philosophy, right? Reviews give you an impression on what to expect, but having your own, it shouldn't make your opinion for you. Your own experience should make your own opinion for you, right? So with that being said, you know, I will not be having an opinion on Rebel Moon until I experience it myself. But yeah, I mean, like I said, you know, my expectations, my impressions, and what my expectations that it's gonna be that it's bad, because you know, Zack Snyder, he's crazy hit or miss, so naturally. But yeah, I will not be talking about Rebel Moon. Rebel Moon will not be making the list. Extraction 2. Honestly, I think the first movie should have just been a one-off, but whatever. I don't mind the fact that a second movie exists, but Netflix is out of my budget at the moment. So yeah, Extraction 2 will not be on the list. Napoleon. I don't know. I like biopics, right? But something about Napoleon just doesn't work for me, right? Like, what's his face? I forgot his name. Creator of Aliens. Ridley Scott is literally right there. Ridley Scott, right? Like, I don't know. I don't think he's done really anything. I don't think very significant since Alien, to be honest. I guess he made that one movie about Gucci, House of Gucci. I guess that's the thing. But I mean, another biopic. But like, I don't know. Something about this doesn't look interesting. Ridley Scott and Joaquin Phoenix being attached to his project does sound promising, but I don't know. I just never cared to get around to it. I don't know. I just guess Napoleon just isn't an interesting enough figure for me to really give a damn about. Moving on. The Blackening. Oh, is this 2022? Or 2023? I could have sworn it's 2023. But I need to look this up. Or was it? Did it have was a theatrical release 2023? I think the theatrical release was 2023. No, okay, the theatrical release was 2023. Okay, got it. So yeah, I'm gonna count that. Just never got around to it. Wonka, you know, same thing. I just don't care. I just didn't really care that much, you know, especially with the time crunch I had at the time it came out. Oh, that reminds me of another movie as well. But yeah, just a time crunch that came out. Like, it just wasn't a priority of mine. Plus, I mean, Timothée Chalamet from the trailers, right, just wasn't selling it for me. Another movie I didn't get around to watching was this. First of all, Rachel Zegler is in the movie, and Rachel Zegler took part in Shazam 2. So no, I don't want anything to do with her. Secondly, I just never had an attachment to the Hunger Games franchise in general, so like I just didn't really care personally. So like, you know, and like I said, same thing with Wonka. The time it came out, it just wasn't a good time for me to be. I was just too busy to be going out to the movies every night. Last Voyage of Demeter. I don't know how to pronounce that. I'm not gonna pretend to. I'm not gonna pretend I know how to either. I don't know. It looks kind of dumb. I don't know. I just didn't really care. But who knows? Who knows? Ooh, average of 2.6 stars. Yeah, that does not bode well. A few other movies. I forgot to bring up Boys in a Boat. The Boys in the Boat. Okay. Oh, okay. Mr. fucking technical. Boys in the Boat. Never got around to it. Oh, this is the wrong one. Yeah, this one. I don't know. Something about this just didn't look interesting. First of all, the poster date. I don't know. Something about it just didn't look interesting. Maybe it was really good. I don't know. But and maybe I'm the idiot that's missing out. Who knows? I don't know. And there's also Ferrari as well. I missed out on Ferrari. I don't know. The trailer was just really bad. Okay, let's actually get to the actual tier list now. F11. Okay, cool. So we have a few new movies in here. We have Saltburn. Ooh, that's a conversation. Okay, not really. Saltburn, Megan. You know, hold on. I'm just gonna grab water and we're just gonna go ahead and get into it. Okay, so when we come up to a movie that is new to the list compared to the last list, then I'll mention it. I'll just say if it's new. I'll just say if it's new. Ah, that's some good water. Anyways, so, well, I do need to make a couple notes. These two tiers right here, Octanius Maximumer, obviously fake word, duh, I can thank you. Okay. And a Feel Good Time, they're the same. I guess they have the same value. It's just how do they gain that value? They both gain it differently. Is the point I want to get across. But basically, if this is S tier and this is A tier, these are both B tier, is what I'm saying. And then yeah, I think most of the rest are like much better explained. Also, most things are much just color coded now. You know, I was okay, except this needs to be a darker orange. These two tiers do not have the same value. This should be a darker orange, but they don't have a darker orange. So but yeah, that's what we're going with. Anyways, so let's get started. Last time I started with superhero movies first, so I think I'm gonna do the same thing again. Actually, I started with specifically Ant-Man. I want to get that out of the way first. Yeah. What did I say last time? Character management was really bad, right? So a couple things, right? The movie in itself was already pretty boring as is for the most part. You know, like not very likable characters. Just the whole general setup was just very, you know, wasn't compelling. I mean, it's just by the books, you know. It really was just by the books, right? You have your hero man, and you have a reason why. Yeah, even for the most part, it's hard to connect with Ant-Man in this movie, right? Because like he didn't really care much about anything other than his daughter Cassie, and that's another thing, right? It's another huge setup for Cassie being a young Avenger, but like, and then Cassie herself as well just wasn't very well. She just wasn't very likable either. So like, it's hard to root for her to do anything. That stop being a dick line, yeah, it's never too late to stop being a dick. Whatever that line was, right? That was just bad. Plus, her performance wasn't good either. Like, her cadence and facial expression was extremely static. Extremely static. I think in an interview though, she did say the wig she was wearing made it very hard for her to emote. I don't know what the issue might be, but you know, just get a. I mean, I guess that's the message to the costume designer, to give her something she could emote in. I don't see anything else she's been in. I haven't seen any of her other projects. So I don't know. I can't really judge her as an actress very much. I hear she's in Detective Pikachu apparently. But yeah, anyways, another major issue with this movie is the way they treated Kang the Conqueror, right? Okay, so hold on. I like the white color. Anyways, cause white power. Kang, right? So that's a lot to unpack. So not only is Jonathan Majors basically, out. He's out of the picture for the MCU now because of, legal issues. He's basically out, so Disney's in a different direction. But let's say at the time, right, that wasn't a thing. At the time when this movie came out, it wasn't really much of a thing. Kang was supposed to be the next big bad for the MCU, right? That's what they're alluding to, and that's just, and this is our main introduction to him. I think specifically this variant of the Kang is supposed to be the big bad for the MCU as well, but like, the way they portrayed him just wasn't good. It was very bad because like never. How do I put this? So the narrative writing, right, presents him well. The narrative writing in itself presents him well. Like, yeah, you could tell he's one big bad dude. He's definitely a threat. And there's a couple scenes where, in terms of visual narrative, where they demonstrated, yeah, he is someone you shouldn't mess with, right? Because the way he effortlessly, nearly killed both Ant-Man and his daughter with barely just moving his finger, right? Really demonstrated what the kind of threat he was. But then like the final act just butchered it. Like the visual narrative doesn't do it justice for him, right? Not to mention just the world building towards the end, right? His army is just very uninspired. It's just soldier men. That's all it was at the end as well. It was just, especially for like a race or a society or an army that's very technologically advanced, right? Like they just didn't do a good. A lot of the visual presentation just wasn't good. Like, it just doesn't do the narrative writing justice, or doesn't match up with the narrative, right? Which is very problematic, right? And not to mention, like, basically to sum it up, Kang being Mega Thanos is just Thanos times 10. Gets beaten now by Ant-Man, who isn't even a top 10 Avenger. Like, no, that's just not convincing, man. And like just the whole resolution, the way things finished just wasn't it. No, just no. I just remember, right? Like me and my friend, we went to see this movie together. Hated it. Walking out of the theaters, hated it. We had immediately the next day we had to go see another movie, like an actual good movie, to wash this shit out of our mouth. We saw Puss in Boots. If Puss in Boots was on this tier list, it would have gone here. Actually good. But yeah, move on from Ant-Man. Let's talk about an actually good superhero movie, Guardians of the Galaxy, Volume 3. Now this was good. Now this is how you make people give a shit about your characters. Not like, I really wish I had my notes out right now, but. Well, like there's actual real stakes in the movie. The characters are actually likable, so like because they're actually likable, you actually give a damn about their plight. Plus, like their plight they had just held more urgency in general. In accordance to the story it was in, right? So, plus not to mention just good set pieces, good action sequences, just good performances all around, and like the use balance between emotional scenes as well as humor was done so it was done so well. This is this was literally what Ant-Man wanted to be. Ant-Man failed at what Guardians succeeded, right? So yeah. Ant-Man, you suck. Let's see what other superhero movies we have. The Marvels, it just exists. Yeah, no, yeah, the narrative was competent enough, I guess. It wasn't anything special. Um, but I guess the main thing that really holds us back is the fact that the characters are also really just pretty bland. I think the only person that was really likable was Monica Rambeau, but even that she wasn't really much. The character arc she went through just wasn't very fleshed out enough. I don't think it was fleshed out enough to be honest. I think it's because a lot of it has to do with the fact that she was introduced in WandaVision, which you had to watch, and I didn't. And yeah, just wasn't it was hard to connect with the characters. They just weren't very special. I mean, it really wasn't that bad, right? It's just kind of just bland and lifeless. That's what it really was at the end of the day. Plus the CGI and just the action sequences was also just very by the books, also very bland. So it's hard to really enjoy this movie that much. My voice is giving out already. Alrighty, what else do we have here? Next superhero movie. Does TMNT count as a superhero movie? I'll move on. Whatever. I'm not gonna think about that. I'm not gonna dwell on that. Spider-Verse. Oop. Okay. This is a hot take, but it just exists to me. And the reason being is because this interpretation of Miles Morales. Not saying I don't like Miles Morales. There are ways you can manage him well, like the Spider-Man game. I like that interpretation of Miles Morales way better than this Miles Morales. I don't care that this is a coming of age story. It was fucking annoying and fucking irritating. I do not like him. And the sad part is everything else about the movie was phenomenal. If it wasn't for Miles Morales being Miles Morales in this movie, this would have been here. But no, he is such an annoying, unlikable character. If he was what how Insomniac portrays him, I might have liked him better, to be honest. It would have bumped him up. Probably saved it from being here and put it here instead. But no, just exists. I do not like this interpretation of Miles Morales. Plus, I also think Gwen Stacy just had a better story arc in general. Yeah. The fact that Gwen Stacy also has a much better story arc, holds this movie together for me. Plus the creative art style in general also really held it together for me. Oh, next movie. Superhero movie. Yeah, it's Blue Beetle, right? Yeah. I will say this now, right? Jaime Reyes is what I wish Miles Morales was. Way less obnoxious, and I could get the young adult plight as well. I thought it was done better, unlike Miles Morales. Fuck Miles Morales. Jesus, he was annoying. But yeah. Next up. Oh yeah, but the rest of the movie is also pretty by the book. It felt very, safe. Like nothing really stood out about this movie, right? Nothing was really bad. Nothing was really good either, right? Like it's just by the book. I think the main thing this movie was doing was just trying to not be bad. That's all it was trying to do, which is very safe. And just whatever, pretty whatever. Superhero movie, next one, The Flash. Also just exists. Don't get me wrong, the CGI was fucking awful, right? And but everything other than that, same thing with not Miles Morales. Same thing with the Marvels. Same thing with Blue Beetle. It just wasn't that good. It just wasn't very compelling enough, right? I think it does. Okay, just to let you know, these movies aren't really in a particular order within the tier. But if I were to have to, I would probably put The Flash above these movies here, just because. Well, maybe not Miles Morales. Maybe not. Well, no. In terms of story, maybe not Across the Spider-Verse, but like I said, Miles Morales just pisses me off. But The Flash, though, does it. I think the general plot and narrative was better than all three of these, though. There's more substance to it, or at least there's an attempt for more substance. But it just, it just still doesn't hit the spot. It kind of falls short, though. So realistically, I could probably put it here, to be honest. But nah. Aquaman. I think this is my favorite DC project all year. But it still lands and just exists. Because the thing is, it was just fun, I mean, like, was it inconsequential the way it ends and wraps things up? Yeah, for sure. This is the end of the DC EU as we know it. Terrible. No. Well, it's not that it's terrible, but it's just, inconsequential. But overall, I had a lot of fun with this movie compared to all the other movies, right? Yeah, that's about it, really. It's just fun. Like, nothing deep, nothing really, to write home about. It's just all it really was. All right. Now, let's talk about the other movies in order. Saltburn. This is a new entry. And I actually saw it early today at the time of this recording. But anyway, it goes here. So, a few things about this movie, right? Did I write notes on this movie I can pull up? No, I didn't. Okay, well, I guess I'm just going off the cuff then. So the explicit content, I see where people are coming from. Yep, I see it. Yeah, it's definitely there. But the thing is, though, it's kind of, over exaggerated. It's a lot more far in between, as people are saying it is. But Saltburn, I think it has a pacing issue, right? And just the overall attitude. And I don't mean tone, like the overall attitude of the movie, right? Then, because I just say the big grand plot twist or review, they made it, oh, it's such a big deal. That's crazy. I bet y'all didn't see that coming. But when really, the fact that they did foreshadowing so well, it played it was a detriment to itself. Because most of the time, I should probably put a spoilers tag somewhere. So our main protagonist, Oliver, right? Like, early on, you could kind of sense there's already something wrong with him, right? So like, so you already kind of know there's kind of a screw loose. This guy kind of has a screw loose inside of him, right? So as the movie progresses, right, like you already suspect that he kind of has a screw loose inside of him. So, I'm not on Adderall right now, and my ADHD is like acting up, my alleged ADHD. So you can, even when he seems innocent, you kind of take it with a grain of salt. There's a grain of salt to be had. Okay, like, okay, there's probably something we're missing, or whatever, right? So when it turns out, he was actually just manipulating them and being conniving this entire time because of his whole evil scheme. The way the movie treats it is like, oh, bet y'all didn't see that coming or whatever, right? Or like, oh, it's such a big deal, but like realistically, you're like, oh, yeah, we kind of saw it coming, because like they did a really good job at foreshadowing it a lot of the times. Looking around, there's a lot of times where foreshadowing is more subtle, but like overall, it just kind of whatever. The writing, I don't think the writing is as genius as it tries to sell itself as, especially with the big reviews and plot twists. Because like I said, you already saw it coming for the most part, right? So, and or at least Barry Keoghan's character, Oliver, right? Was he well written? Oh, for sure, right? But I don't know, just the overall attitude of the movie, just doesn't work with me. Anyways, Air. I like biopics, especially simple ones like this. So it falls under feel good time. That's the thing with biopics, right? It's kind of hard to mess up. They're kind of hard to mess up for the most part. So just as long as they're paced well, it's good. And to be honest, I think if I were to saw the boys in the boat, I'd probably would land here too. Or just, I don't know. Something about it just didn't sell it for me. Especially the trailers. Next movie, Megan, which is also a new entry. It's somewhere between here and here, right? It's not necessarily feel good because it's a dark movie, but like it's not Octavius Maximum. That's so fucking dumb to say, but it doesn't belong here, right? Because it just didn't have that energy. Once you start seeing what movies I put in here, or if you can't tell based off the name of the tier, what kind of movies would go here. But like I said, I'll let you see the movie that goes in there. If I have to talk about Shazam too, I'll come back in a second. I'll say that for last. But no, Megan was a genuinely good effort. Like, it was a very solid flick. It was definitely the best. Probably one. No, not just 2023. It's probably one of the better Blumhouse projects in a while. And there's another one that came out later that year as well that just didn't. That wasn't very good. Just wasn't very good. But yeah, maybe I should make another tier. It's called Better Than Expected. Yeah. Another tier for this. What?
Oh yeah, so the chicken has a bone in it, so it's taking a longer to cook.
Okay, cool. Okay, I'm gonna add a new tier list. Better than expected. And it's probably gonna have the same. Yeah, I'm not gonna cut that conversation out, by the way. I don't really care. Probably has the same value as this. Ooh, actually, no, I don't feel. Okay, it has a slightly higher value than this. Can I get a good color to represent it? Oh, fuck. God damn it. I don't want to use the lighter green because it doesn't. Whatever. We're gonna go with the light blue. Oh, I'm going to rename this as well. The Holy Peen. Yeah. The Holy Grail, the Holy Peen. Better than expected. That's what it's going to be, right? And the Megan 2.0 is already announced as a sequel to this. And, I'm all for it. I'm excited for it. I'm looking forward to it. Because I genuinely enjoyed this one. So, yeah. I don't know, it's just the way the overall story, the plot, and the theme it was tackling, right, just works in the end of the day. Anyways, next movie, Resident Evil Death Island. Okay, so think about Resident Evil Death Island, right? Or just the Resident Evil franchise in general, right? So Resident Evil 7 back in 2017 and 2018 entirely saved the entire franchise, right? So it was an upward trend from there for the Resident Evil franchise, and then Resident Evil 2 remake came out, which was also a success. So that kept the upward trend going for Resident Evil, or for the Resident Evil franchise, I mean. And then Resident Evil 8 Village was announced, and that brought that up the hype even more. So like the franchise was at an all-time high at this point, right? Or ever since its comeback anyways. It's at an all-time high, and not to mention there was also a couple Netflix shows announced for it as well. They're both for okay, no, it didn't come out the same year though. It didn't come out the same year, but like there was one with Lance Reddick, which was terrible from what I hear. And there's also Infinite Darkness, which is an animated movie like this, in line with this, but it's also canonical to the main continuity as well. Which, same thing with this as well. It's also canon to the main continuity. But Infinite Darkness wasn't very good. It wasn't very good. It was quite a letdown, and that kind of continued the trend with Resident Evil movies, or animated Resident Evil movies, not being good. But Death Island came out and it was a lot better than expected. A lot of characters that we never get to see on screen together at the same time were finally on screen together at the same time. You had Jill and Leon finally interacting. which is cool. So yeah. But yeah, no, it's actually a fun time. You know, there's a real genuine attempt to tell an actual story, and you know the story works. It's fine. It's competent enough. And you know the action sequences could have been better, but it doesn't really matter to me. You know, it was serviceable overall. It's a decent movie, right? It's better than what you expected, what you would expect. This is such an ugly color coding. Because you know how the darker the green, the better it is, and then you know the color. Just fuck it. And then lighter to imply that it's not as good. Then you know the next one is yellow. And then it gets darker until it's a red. Whatever. Renfield. Feel good time. This is also another entry. I saw Renfield. This is also another entry, a new entry for this updated video compared to my last tier list video. But Renfield. So tonally, it's here. On-screen presentation is here. It's so fucking over the top with its gore. So like for some reason I can't handle gore very well, right? In movies, in video games, sure, but movies, no. So I don't know why either. But as I was saying, you know, but even if I still can't, even though I can't stomach gore in movies, the gore in this movie is just so ridiculous and so dumb and unrealistic that I'm like, that's okay. I'll accept it. But yeah. But overall, no, it's just a fun movie, you know. Like it wasn't really telling a very deep story. Just you know, it has a lighthearted twist on a lot of you know more serious themes in the world, which is you know, it works. It's good. I like it. Sound freedom. Oh, that's a burp. Be a good time. This is also a new entry that wasn't on the last video. Wasn't in the last video. I don't know. I kind of want to bump it up to here, to be honest. My heart's telling me to bump it. Yeah, I'll bump it up to here. So okay, I will say right now, some of the performances in the movie, especially from our main lead, wasn't very good at times. Okay, no, he performed well, right? But his style of performance wasn't appropriate for every scene. I spelled octane wrong. That's insane. Okay, there you go. But overall, it's a solid movie. All right. So here's the thing with faith-based movies. This is technically faith. This movie is not necessarily faith-based, but like you know, faith agenda. I guess you can say that. But yeah, let's just say faith-based. Right. Most faith-based movies aren't very good. Right. Doesn't matter what your belief is. It is very well accepted and recognized that faith-based movies aren't very good. God's Not Dead really proves that point and perpetuates it, right? But this was actually really good, right? Because like a couple things that immediately stood out to me, right? You know, prolonged shots to help. Hold on, what did I say? I don't remember the exact words I used. Let me go to my letterbox real quick. What words did I use? I don't have it apparently. I know it's somewhere. Well, I know I said it somewhere. So there's a lot of actual filmmaking technique. They use actual filmmaking techniques in this movie, right? Unlike God's Not Dead, where it just looks at the character and that's it. There's nothing special with the cinematography, right? There's well thought out cinematography. Yep, that's what I said. And because oh yeah, it also intentionally draws out moments, right, to really set in the tone of the movie and the scene as well. Whereas, God's Not Dead, for example, they just say the dialogue and then move along, right? Like, this movie knows how when to drag out a scene to let it so that the audience can really take in the somber moment or like the severity of the situation, right? Plus, not to mention, there's a lot of tense moments as well, which was done really well. So, yeah, this is a solid movie. Surprisingly good. Holdovers, feel good time. It's kind of a slow burn for a feel good time movie, for a movie that's just a feel good time. But also, this you can also tell this movie is also very heavily inspired, not just by like the early '90s, but also Dead Poets Society more specifically. Yeah, so like the film style, like I said, is very inspired by the early '90s and late '80s, and I like that. I can appreciate it, but I feel like the audio quality was like kind of like early to mid 2000s, so like it doesn't really match up because like the audio, it's almost like the audio was ahead of its time, ahead of its time compared to like the actual the visual film quality. But other than that, the holdover is a good time. That's it. All right, Asteroid City. I don't remember what I ranked it last time in terms of the tier list. Excuse me. I'm tired. I need to take a nap. Once I finish this, I'm gonna fall asleep. I don't know where to put Asteroid City. You know what? I'll put it here. Tonally, the tone management of the movie lands it here. But I really don't know. I really don't know what the fuck happened in Asteroid City. So I like the art style. I like the visual presentation. It was neat. It helps add to the lighthearted, nonchalant tone of the movie, hence helping it land in the feel good time tier. But the actual plot and writing, I just don't know what it was trying to do. Something tells me it wasn't really trying. It didn't really have much of a deeper message either. So, yeah, I don't know what to say. Like, it's just a weird movie. I appreciate it on a more visual artistic style at the very least, and it was very good compliment. It was very complimentary with the tone of the movie. So I'll just leave it there for now. Five Nights at Freddy's. Oh man, this is pretty bad. So, a very recurring argument that fans would use to defend this movie, right, is the fact that it's very faithful to the source material. Even though I hear even though there's also a lot of people on the internet coming out saying, actually, it's not that faithful at all. But let's just look at the argument, the rhetoric of that, the fact that it's very faithful, right? It doesn't mean it's good. Just because it's faithful to the source material doesn't mean it's good. It doesn't mean the source material sucks sometimes. And that's kind of the case with the Five Nights at Freddy, right? It just not to mention, I just feel like it's just the Black Phone repackaged. I also didn't like the Black Phone very much either. I think it's very overrated. But yeah, no, it's just the Black Phone repackaged with a Five Nights at Freddy skin on top of it. And like I said, this is the less. It's just a recurring thing with Blumhouse movies, right? Five Nights at Freddy. I don't know. It just felt very uninspired. It just wasn't very good. It is a lot of the on-screen. What's the word? There's on-screen contrivances. I guess you could say that. No, it wasn't necessarily on-screen contrivances. Just just wasn't very good. There's a lot of moments that just doesn't make sense and just dumb. Anyways, but no, my life didn't become worse because I saw this movie. So I'm not gonna fault it for that. And like I said, it goes back to what's it called? Faithfulness to the source material. Sometimes you just gotta make changes when you. Okay, cool. Get a fork. Yeah, that's saying. This is why I kind of don't take. I'm not very like comic movies. I'm not as gung ho about comic book accuracy anymore because I think that's just childish now, right? Thank you. All right, cool. My brother just brought me in fried chicken. But yeah, no, as I was saying, one, I'm too old to care about comic book accuracy, right? Just tell a good story and be a well-made film, right? So that includes good cinematography, etc., etc., etc. That's all I care about anymore, right? That's all I care about these days. I don't really care about comic book accuracy anymore. Well, I mean, I still do to some degree. Oh, what the fuck? What did I do? Did I actually delete Ant-Man? Oh, there it is. Yeah, so like I just don't care about comic accuracy anymore, right? Like change the skin color of a character, I don't care. I could sympathize why people get upset. I understand that part, right? You know, because like, you know, when you love a character, you want the most respect. You want them to be treated with the utmost respect. So that also includes, you know, you want them to look faithful to what you've always seen them as, right? Hence why I don't want fucking Michael B. Jordan being Clark Kent. But like I said, back to what I was saying, right? Yeah, I don't care about comic book accuracy that much anymore, right? As long as, you know, it tells a good story at the end of the day. That's all I care. I will say there are moments I do care about comic book accuracy. I do care how the Batman and Superman are portrayed. Those are my two favorite superheroes. So, you know, those characters I still care about the way they're, you know, presented, right? But, all right, how about this? I don't care about the story being accurate or faithful to the source material. And that's a better way to put it, yeah. But yeah. Yeah. That's about it. Alrighty. Big George Foreman. Hold on. It's kind of, I need to talk about the Spider-Man in the MCU for a second. People don't like how Peter Parker is just becoming the next Tony Stark in the MCU, right? Because that's just not how it went down the comic book, apparently. That's the argument. But I don't know, because Homecoming and Far From Home are genuinely well-made movies. They're well-made movies. The story they tell are actually pretty damn solid. And it works in the context of the world, of the universe that is built in. It falls, but the context of the story, they work. And I'm fine with that. That's why I love Homecoming. That's why I love Far From Home. No Way Home, nah. It has issues, but it's still pretty good. And I mean, I'm not saying, you know, people who want, you know, faithfulness to the source material are invalid. But I'm just saying I'm at the point in life I just don't care anymore, right? I got other things to worry about. There are worse movies to get upset over. There are more important movies to get upset over than, you know, comic book movies that aren't accurate. So, with that being said, Five Nights at Freddy's, you suck. You are too faithful to a source material that probably wasn't very good to begin with. I'm not saying I don't really know much of the original source material either myself, right? But that's what's the narrative that's being driven to me. That's the narrative that's being given to me, and I'm going based off of that assumption. So, if this is faithful to the source material, which isn't a very good argument, first of all, then you're also giving me the impression that Five Nights at Freddy franchise isn't very good, like the story and lore wise. Moving on, Big George Foreman, feel good time. So the issue with George, I will say that this movie, out of all the biopics I've seen all year, this one has issues in terms of pacing, and it's not necessarily the movie's fault either, right? It's just that George Foreman's life is very, you know, very complex, very, you know, you can't tell everything, right? So there are certain points in the movie where you're kind of missing some information, right? Where things are just completely cut out. Well, that shouldn't be. But overall, I still like Big George Foreman. Tonally, it works. It just works to me, right? Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Better than expected. Actually, yeah, feel good time. So, I mean, yeah, I didn't have really expectations for the movie, so it's easier for me to, you know, enjoy it more than I actually would. So, I guess that's probably why I put it up here. Oh, the reason why Megan lands here is because, you know, it's a January horror movie. And, you know, historically, movies in January already have a bad rep. On top of that, January horror movies have an even shittier rep. And this, you know, being a quote-unquote horror movie that came out in January, yeah, no, it was almost setting itself up for failure, right? Hence, but it didn't fall down that trap, so that's why it lands here. Anyways, back to Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Never been much of a Turtles fan, to be honest. And you know, guys, goes back to April O'Neil. I don't care that she's black now. Doesn't matter to me. Plus, it's that one girl from the Bear. Yeah, that one girl from the Bear too. So I'm like, oh, I like that character. And you know what? And her character works here, so I don't care. But like I said, you know, I understand why people would be upset, whatever. But me personally, I don't care. But yeah, no, it's just overall good time. I there wasn't much to it. You know, this is a better coming of age story than Miles Morales. Fuck you, Miles Morales. It was Iron Claw. Oh, Holy Grail or the Holy Peen. This was fucking good. Iron Claw, right? Its success criteria was very simple. It's very simple. You make us care about the characters. So once again, a recurring theme that Ant-Man didn't seem to understand. Give us compelling reasons why we should care for the characters and a relationship they have with one another. And that way, when the plot demands you to feel something or delivers a scene, it works. The Iron Claw nails it. So like I said, spoilers, right? Not just to, I mean, even if you haven't seen the movie, but you just know the story behind the story it's based on. When the characters slowly start dying, the brothers start slowly dying off, right? You actually feel the impact of it, because not only is Zac Efron is a very likable lead and his just a likable character, the brothers aren't that bad either, and there's a genuine relationship between the two. You actually bond into the relationship. That's how it was presented to you. Just an overall heartbreaking story. Plus, the performances from everyone in this movie is also stunning, right? Fantastic. Gojira. Godzilla -1. Actually good. So, the storytelling and its general themes that it tackles are also done very well. It's also one of the few Godzilla movies ever to have good human stories, because for the first time, you know, I actually want to follow the human struggles in a Godzilla movie, right? Because usually these movies are they're good for one thing, just kaijus doing kaiju things, right? Which we also get in this movie, but let me come back to that in a second, right? It told a very competent story, and the theme it tackles was also very good. The commentary it had on war trauma and government, the way the government treated its military at the time. Good stuff. Good stuff. Plus, like I said, likable characters. You know, you understand the main protagonist's struggle, right? The survivor's guilt. But at the same time, he's also very valid to feel the same way, or he was very valid to feel the way he did, right? To back out from being a kamikaze bomber. Good stuff. And you know, it just overall works, right? It just works. It just works. I will say, however, like I said, you know, because it's on a smaller budget, which is also why it's, you know, being praised the way. Oh, this is crispy. Good job, bro. My brother made the fried chicken, so it's pretty good. As I said, you know, that's also the reason why it's getting a lot of the praise for its visuals, right? Because it's on a smaller budget. However, let's take, for the sake of argument and just to find some criticism to talk about, let's take the budget out of the equation. This movie suffers from particle effects and what's the other word? Textures and particle effects, right? It kind of struggles. There are times I notice, I'm like, oh, that was very CGI'd in, mate. And when I look at Godzilla up close as well, like the texturing of his skin as well, I'm like, oof, yeah, buddy, you see better days. You see better days. But yeah, overall, it's actually really good. Okay, ooh, I know what the name is now. Actual craftsmanship. Yeah. I was struggling to find like a decent name for this. Anyways, Evil Dead Rise. Probably the first one that goes here. Octavius Maximumer. It's not the same levels of Octavius Maximumer, but the next movie's coming up that will fall into this category. But it's there. It's there. But I will say there's also, you know, the way it builds tension as well is also very solid. But overall, it just falls here. That's all it is, right? There's nothing deeper to it. I guess the theme of motherhood is also very prominent, but like, I don't feel like it tackles it on it enough per se, narratively, anyways. But yeah, whatever. Barbie. Yes, actual craftsmanship. Craftsmanship. Is that the word? Craftsmanship or craftsmanship? Craftsmanship. Yes, craftsmanship. Yes. It's such a good fucking time. It was the humor, unlike this movie and another movie that we'll be talking about at the end. The humor works, well timed, well paced. The overall story and theme works. It's just a good time. It's just fun to watch. That's why it is here. Next, Fast X. Oh, this is a new entry as well, and yeah, it goes right there easily. No question about it, right? I'm pretty sure most people are ready to predict it as soon as they see Fast X in the list. So, Fast X, right? It was really fucking stupid, but it was also really fun at the same time. Like, the movie really embraced the ridiculousness. I think at this point, from what this is also my first Fast X movie, by the way. Actually, the first Fast X movie was my first Fast X movie, or my first Fast and Furious movie was the first one, and then the new one. Yeah, I literally just watched the first one and the very last one, minus part 2. But yeah, no, it's just really fun, you know. And you know, you can also tell the cast was having a lot of fun as well. Tyrese Gibson was having fun with the role. That I forgot his name. The other guy was having fun with the role. The dude that plays Han is just Han, I guess. I don't know what to say about him. But Jason Momoa, yeah, he was having a time of his life, and that was just fun to watch. Yeah, no, I just enjoyed it. It was good. It was very fun. I'm actually looking forward to the next one. I will say, however, they did John Cena's character dirty. So dirty. It's not just the fact they killed him off. It's just the way they killed him off as well was also just really lame. I hope he comes back. Like, from what I can tell, characters have been coming back from the dead for no reason in the entire time of the franchise. Like, they come back for most ridiculous things. So you know what? There's no reason to not bring him back. Nice. The creator. I'm actually coming back to the creator later. The creator, and then where's Shazam? I'm gonna put you down here as well. Yeah. Cocaine Bear. Feel good time. Well, tonally feel good time. On-screen presentation. Octavius Max Mummer, right? I guess this movie is technically down here. That's how bad the movie is. But you could really tell the filmmakers and the people in the movie were having a good time, and therefore I have a good time. Like, that's it. Like I said, the movie doesn't technically need to be good to be enjoyable, right? I think that's something we can all agree on. Just bring your own life and characteristics to the movie, which this movie did. It's goofy, it's fun, it's unapologetically bad, it's enjoyable. And that's all you need from this movie. Cocaine Bear. Anyways, I'm hungry. I want to take a bite. I need to take a bite of my chicken. Oh, it's really good. All right, moving on. Oppenheimer. So, like I said, like I already said, you know, I like biopics. I don't know why, I just do. I think they're just very digestible for me, right? Especially at the stage of life I'm in right now. Biopics are very just easy to watch and digestible. And on top of that, it's directed by Christopher Nolan, of all people. So, not only am I getting a digestible movie genre, I guess you can say that, but it is tackled by a very good director, which comes with a lot of great visuals and cinematography. So like, it was kind of like the best of both worlds for me, right? It was literally the best of both worlds for me. Digestible content. Okay, well, the themes and messaging and just, you know, the story in general, themes and the content of the story wasn't the most light of heart. But the genre for it makes it up for me. But like I said, I'm getting the best of both worlds. Something digestible, and you know, my more quote unquote artistic side, my appreciation for cameras was also very much satiated by this movie. So Oppenheimer goes here. The Nun 2. Okay. Put that here, right? The first Nun goes here, but this one goes here. It's not because it's better. I just don't care as much. I'm at the point in life I just don't care as much. But yeah, no, it's literally the same fucking movie again. Like, it's just dumb, stupid MacGuffins that don't make sense to the story and are just randomly introduced just to have a MacGuffin in the movie. It's just bad. I don't care. The treatment of the nun is kind of the way Ant-Man treated Kang, right? Like, you could tell the demon nun, whatever the fuck, has everything in their wheelbarrow to just kill off the character, our protagonist, kill off the characters, but for the sake of the plot and therefore plot armor, the demon didn't do that. And it's just really dumb because a lot of the scenarios, because of knowing that information, it makes a lot of the scenarios the characters were in very hard to believe. So yeah, it's just more of the first Nun. That's all it is. If you didn't like the first one, you're definitely not gonna like the second one. Past lives, feel good time. There's not really much for me to think about either. Like, don't get me wrong, there's a lot of times I was on the edge of my seat because I'm just anticipating what the characters are going to say next. But other than that, I don't really care. I like romances. I do. And, you know, most romances are pretty by the book, so it goes here. Silent Night. Ooh. Good effort. Good concept. But it could have been better. So what's good about this movie, right? It's the ability to tell a story without spoken word. So that requires very good visual storytelling, right? And it's good. The way each scene plays out and the expressions emoted by the characters, it worked to tell a story. That's the impressive part. The not so impressive part that holds it back really hard is the story itself, like what it is actually about. And it's very generic. And just the story progression in general, the story and plot progression in general is very generic. Like, it's wow. I normally don't complain about unoriginality in media anymore because, you know, there's nothing original anymore. But it's fine. Which is fine, which I think in itself is fine, right? But wow, they weren't even trying with the story. Like, most of their efforts was put into the visuals, the visual presentation, the actual narrative presentation. So yeah, that's what landed here. Because, and like I said, plus, I mean, I guess another saving grace is technically the story itself isn't bad. It's just played out. Magic Mike. Boop. Feel good time. Nothing to it. There's really nothing to it, to be honest. Cause what's it called? I don't know. It just doesn't care. I mean, I guess I have a decently funny story about this. I took a few coworkers of mine to go see this movie. The opening scene where Channing Tatum was doing his thing, right? Bro, one of my coworkers, he saw one shirtless dude do one hip thrust and lost it. He left the theater. He couldn't. He said he couldn't handle it anymore. Oh, it was pretty bad. But like, the funny part was the movie just gets tamer with that as it goes on. But technically this movie lands here, but I enjoyed it here. Plus, this is also fresh off the boats of Ant-Man as well. I think it's like a week later, so like, you know, we're easily biased towards this movie. Both me and my friend that saw this movie liked this movie better than Ant-Man. There was Nefarious. Okay, another faith-based movie, which I did not know it was before I watched it. I literally only found out right before I saw it, right? But anyways, it's better than expected. Like I said, Most faith-based movies are pretty bad, but this is pretty solid. It's pretty solid. Like, basically the gist of the movie is just two dudes talking to each other in a room, right? Like that sounds like a pretty boring premise. But the performances between the actors and just the contents they were talking about was actually made up for it, made it interesting as well. Plus, there's also like creative cinematography here and there as well, sprinkled in there. Like there's not a lot of it, but when I noticed it, it was pretty good. But I guess my main gripe is it just wasn't very thought provoking for me, right? A lot of people are sort of saying it's thought provoking. Me personally, I kind of disagree, right? Like I mean, don't get me wrong. There's a lot of times I was like, "Oh, that's a good point" throughout the movie, right? But like, other than that, I'm like, kind of whatever. But yeah, no, like, it's pretty dang solid. It's pretty dang solid. Like, it's almost up here if it does a few more things right. But and I don't even know what those few things right it needs to do either. I guess I don't know. I don't know what it needs to do right either to push itself into that category, but it's whatever. I'm tired. Oh, we're almost there. John Wick 4. Octavius Maximumer. I actually don't think John Wick 3 and 4 are that good, to be honest. I think John Wick 3 is kind of the weakest entry into the franchise as a whole. Cause like there was like noticeably sloppy cinematography, or not cinematography, choreography here and there in that movie, and so the way it sequel baited you at the end felt very undeserved. So the way John Wick 4 makes up for it is it justifies its existence, its writing. Well, still not very good, but good enough to justify its existence. But I will say one thing the movie struggled. I noticed, probably my old age speaking, is it has a repetition issue in some of its action sequences or set pieces. Like some of the set pieces goes on for too long. Like when they're fighting in that big circle with the cars. I forgot what it's called. Was it London? Was it? Oh no, not London. Was it Paris? Around the Eiffel Tower? I don't know. Anyways, point being, that got really repetitive after a while. Like it was cool at the beginning, but like it just kept going on and on and on. I'm like, okay, just stop, please. This is lame. The aerial view of the when he's using the dragon's breath shotgun, that was cool at first, but like I said, same thing. It went on for like a little too long. It went on for too long. The moment when he's fighting up the stairs, it's kind of whatever. It doesn't really matter. Like, I don't know, just whatever. The movie just got tedious to watch after a while. Like, whatever. But it was still fun though. It was still fun. I still enjoyed it. Next movie, Sisu. Where did I put it? Yeah, good enough for it to be here. Yeah, it's good enough to be here. I mean, I wish there was more action sequences, and when it did happen, I wish it went on longer or just a little more creative with it. But overall, this movie did have a lot of interesting cinematography, though. I really do appreciate the cinematography and a lot of moments in this movie. There's like a lot of wide shots, but they use a lot of tight angles or tight focal lengths to get those wide shots, which is a very interesting thing to do. But I liked it. Next, Covenants. So the thing about American military movies, right? They're kind of, they either don't have anything to say, right? And they're just, America, fuck yeah, hoorah, kind of vibes. Like, it's just fun to watch, right? Other times it's just kind of bad because it doesn't really do anything special. Because both the story, the writing, and the action sequences just aren't good. Which is ironic for a American military movie. But this was pretty solid, right? I think I put it a tier below actual good craftsmanship on my last tier list. But come to think of it, it's kind of whatever, right? I like the theme, I like the story, but some of the performances felt a little weak. Jake Gyllenhaal felt like he wasn't fully committed to the role, right? There was a lot of times I felt like he was holding back. His voice sounded a little hazily. I guess that's the best word to say it. When he was trying to be serious, and just I don't know. I just wasn't sold with his performance. But overall, it's not a bad movie, you know. But yeah, plus I guess some of the set pieces were also pretty good. Anyways, Champions, feel good time. There's not really much for me to say about it. It's just a feel good time. I just enjoyed it. Equalizer 3. Okay, if I saw the first two, I'd probably put it here or maybe even here. But I didn't, so it's either one of these two right here. I'll put it here. I like the ideas it was trying to do. A much more somber and quote unquote mature approach to the character. But I feel like it was a kind of a slow burn with not the best payoff. I don't know. The payoff at the end was alright. It was pretty good. It works. Indiana Jones. Hold on. Equalizer 3. Yeah, that's about it to say about it, you know. Actually, yeah, when shit finally goes down, you know, it felt very satisfying for the most part. But, you know, I think the pacing could have picked itself up a little better. That's about it. But other than that, yeah. Indiana Jones, My Life Worsened. No. I think this is my first Indiana Jones movie ever, too. And because of this, I don't think I want to watch the other ones either. No. Super Mario Bros. It's a combination of this and this down here. Because, you know, better than expected because, you know, it's a video game adaptation. It's a movie adaptation of a video game. And, you know, historically they've been bad. But tonally and everything else, it goes here. And just the overall quality of the movie. I liked it. Boy and the Heron. Should have been better. So, how do I talk about this movie, right? It just doesn't make sense. I just don't know what the story was trying to say. It was just very... I don't know. It's just extremely ambiguous. Like, I like ambiguity. I like being vague with your messaging. But like, sometimes you're just a little too ambiguous and too vague to the point where, like, no, you're actually just missing... You're just straight up missing information at this point. The visual's great. The soundtrack's great, but like I don't know, man. The story in itself. The thing with Studio Ghibli movies, right? Even if there's usually a deeper message, but even what you see on a surface level, it's still enjoyable. This one just wasn't it. I liked it, especially with the all-star cast, right? Because like most Studio Ghibli movies, there's Cinemark's Studio Ghibli Fest every year, right? I always watch subbed. That's my preferred way to watch it. I want the quote unquote authentic experience. Also, Howl's Moving Castle is also one of my favorite movies ever. But back to the point, this wasn't it, man. Like, oh yeah, but like the casting, maybe actually for the first time, I actually want to watch the dub. And I saw it twice, and I still don't know what the fuck happened. It is what it is, man. Little Mermaid. Feel good time. I don't care about the skin swap of the mermaid. I don't care. It doesn't matter to me. So looking at the movie for what it is, it's kind of whatever. Technically, it should be here a little bit, somewhere between here, these two. But yeah, no, it's just fine. Like, there's nothing wrong with it. Yeah, it was just enjoyable enough, right? So, I will say a lot of the singing voices felt like they were lacking something. I don't know what it was. It just something was missing. But like, other than that, it's fine. Mission Impossible, pretty straightforward. Octavius Maximum, there's not really much to say about it. Oh, this is a sore spot for me. Transformers: Rise of the Beast. It's not a bad movie for sure, but it's still kind of handled poorly. Crazy because the same director directed Creed 2, which is one of my favorite movies. Okay, not one of my favorite movies. It's actually not. It's one of the movies, part of one of my favorite movie franchises. There you go. Fantastic. It's also like one of the better movies in that franchise as well. However, First of all, that G.I. Joe crossover? No. Absolutely fucking not. Secondly, the action sequences, also a fucking no. Other than that, the story is kind of mid. It just works. I don't think Unicron should be a main threat just yet. I mean, I know they held off on him at the end of the movie, but no, I don't think his introduction is way too early. And you know something, and you know I love Transformers, right? But this is, and I've been waiting for a grand return of a theatrical release of a Transformers movie. This wasn't it. It doesn't scratch that itch for me. Moving on. Dungeons and Dragon, still here. I mean, set pieces were alright. Characters were likable enough. But I don't really care, you know? I guess it's just missing that deeper layer, like the extra lasagna layer for me to enjoy. Like, it's enjoyable enough, yeah. When I was in the moment, I enjoyed it. But, like, looking back on it, like, it's just not very memorable to me. Like, it's just pretty whatever. So I just don't really care. Plus, I feel like as a non-Dungeons and Dragon fan, right? I'm looking at this as a standalone movie. Whatever. It's fun enough, I guess. Yeah, like, it definitely has everything in its wheelbarrow to be up here, but, like, you know, it's just missing the sauce. It's missing the sauce. Anyways, Joyride goes in oof. I fucking hate, I say this as an Asian American. I hate Asian American influencers that need to try to push a movie because of Asian representation. And that's kind of the same situation with this movie. And this movie doesn't live up to the hype, basically, right? It's just a lot of TikTok humor. It's just a lot of screaming and saying inappropriate things. Hoo-hoo, yay, comedy. Humor, yay. Like, that's just no. There's much more nuance to that. And I get it. Humor is subjective, but no. You clearly... Effort. That's what it is. A lack of effort. You substituted effort in comedy with TikTok humor, which is probably the lowest denomination of humor for the most part. That's what it was. Plus the story mid, pretty whatever, run of the mill. Plus it did give a genuine effort about like identity as it had a genuine effort of tackling the theme of identity as well. But it just wasn't fleshed out enough at the end of the day, so it's whatever. Move on. Radical. Feel good time. It's just such a simple feel good movie. It's kind of hard to really talk about. Same thing with Champions, right? Same thing. Meg 2. Okay, this is a new entry. It goes here. Ain't no question about that. Oh man, it's just such a dumb movie. Same thing with Fast X, right? Like, it's just unapologetically dumb. Don't get me wrong. There was a whole sequence in the movie that took itself pretty seriously. But like when the final act came around, right? It's just balls to the wall, just unapologetically dumb, and I loved it. It was just so fun and ridiculous. Oh, good time, good movie. Elemental. I think last time on the last tier list I put it up here, but I think I had to drop it down here because looking back on it, yeah, it does. Don't get me wrong, it does Asian representation better than fucking Joyride did. But no, looking back on it, I just don't. It's also better than fucking Miles Morales. Fuck you. But yeah, it's good. I like it. Creed 3. Mentally, objectively, right? On a more critical, observant level, it goes here. But my heart says here, so I'm gonna go with this. I love this movie. I mean, don't get me wrong. So I saw this movie again for the 6th time when I was flying back from Korea. Actually, I just saw the whole Creed franchise in general during that time span. Well, I saw 1 and 2 on the way to Korea, and then this one on the way back from Korea. But yeah, no, I mean, don't get me wrong. The movie's flaws definitely. I mean, just like anything, when you, as you watch it repeatedly, right, the flaws start to show itself more and more. Like this movie had awkward dialogue exchange at times, a lot of the times, and expect you to be emotional about it. And I felt like Michael B. Jordan put on a weaker performance here, right? Especially during the emotional scenes. Like I said, just watching Creed 1 and 2 again recently, it makes it very noticeable. Like watching all three of the movies, all three of them back to back to back, right? It makes it very noticeable, right? That some of the emotional scenes just aren't as strong or compelling as the first two movies. But overall, I don't know. It just I love the Rocky franchise. I think this does service to it, even without Sylvester Stallone. It would have been nice if Sylvester Stallone was in it, right? Yeah, I get it. Like, there's not much more they could do with the character, but like, it's still nice to have him around, But overall, he's not needed. It works. The movie works at the end of the day. The creator. Okay, so I'm gonna put it here, right? For a few reasons. I think last time I put it here, something like that. But anyways, I'm putting it here. My heart says here. Well, most of my heart says here, but part of my heart is also here as well. But combined with most of my mind being here as well. The reason being is the fact that this was shot on a Sony FX3, which isn't really which is a amateur filmmaking. No, it's a filmmaking camera for amateur filmmakers, right? Supposedly, because FX3, because like compared to the most cameras they use in Hollywood or just big production, big budget production, like you got your Arri Alexias or your Red cameras, right? Which are like $10,000+ just for the camera body. Plus the lenses they use is also like another $10,000, right? And they have to use multiple rigs as well. Oh, plus rigging out your camera probably costs you like another $1,000 or something else on top of that as well. So like the fact that the camera loadout, I guess you can say that, for this was on a budget. And it looks as good as it did, right? Really propels this movie to be where it is. Because I love the visuals of this movie. It's combined with the dirty look of an anamorphic. It has a dirty anamorphic look combined with the Sony soft colors, or the colors of the soft colors of Sony cameras. I am a sucker for that look. And the fact that it made it look the movie looked incredible. I mean, don't get me wrong. If you're just an average movie viewer, this is probably gonna be like here, or even here, or even here, because the writing is pretty bad. The writing is pretty bad. I'm gonna say that right now. But as a perspective of a filmmaker, right, it goes here, because the fact that they're able to make the movie look the way it did. I mean, don't get me wrong. There's some moments were pretty spotty in terms of visuals. But for the most part, it looked fantastic for the budget and the camera they used. Because I don't know, it's a good looking movie. It's a good looking movie for the budget. Same thing with Godzilla, right? Like, you can forgive some of its flaws, visual flaws, because of the budget. Same thing with the creator. Plus, the massive amount of just visual scale of the movie is also fantastic. Gareth Edwards, he understands scale. That's what he's good at. And, I like the creator. Fantastic fucking movie. I loved it. All right. Let's talk about Shazam 2. Not only is it one of the worst movies of 2023, it's not only is it one of the worst superhero movies ever made, it's one of the worst movies I've ever seen in general. TikTok humor galore. Not even just TikTok humor, but the kids section of TikTok. There's no kids section of TikTok. But if TikTok had a kids section, that's the humor this uses. It's so fucking bad. None of the characters were likable. None of the villains were very interesting either. The plot, who gives a fuck? The character chemistry is also non-existent. It's just a terrible fucking movie. Ah. This year had good children actors, right? Child actors, right? Megan had it. The creator had it. Who else had it? Oh, the Meg 2. Even the Meg 2 had it. Great stuff from kids this year. Oh, I guess the Holdovers almost has it too. I think the main character, one of the main characters, is barely 18. So that works. But yeah. Shazam 2 misses the mark. Everything it did was terrible. The humor was terrible. Performances were terrible. Everything was terrible. And y'all remember the janitor from Peacemaker? The lovable janitor in Peacemaker? Yeah, they killed him. They killed him in this movie. Cold turkey. He's dead. He's dead. We're not going to see him in Peacemaker again. Oh, such an awful fucking movie. The decision making is just awful. Like, I remember me and my friend, the same friend we went to see Ant-Man with. We went into Shazam 2 like, it can't be as bad as Ant-Man. We were right. For the wrong reason, though. Because it was worse than Ant-Man. Terrible fucking movie. Ugh. Anyways, that's probably my tier list. Overall, though, I think just considering how bad this movie was, some of these movies got bumped up, or it made new tiers to keep itself away from here. Like, because technically, this should have been the worst tier before this, but it's so bad it kind of made a tier. Whatever, y'all get the point. So a lot of these movies got bumped up a tier because of how bad this is. But yeah, I'm gonna throw in a bonus movie. It's a 2024 movie actually. It's Madam Web. I'm gonna throw that in. It's actually the only 2024 movie I've seen all year, and it's March already, which is kind of scary. I am super behind. And if it was here, I would probably put it here. Just exist. A lot of people probably think it's here in my life version, but no, I think it exists here. It just exists. Like, I understand why it's overhated, but it is still noticeably overhated. And the reason is, it's just overall just a boring movie. Like, none of the characters were interesting. The plot wasn't just very interesting either. Dakota Johnson's performance was not there at all. She wasn't performing. She was just there. She just wasn't even performing. Oh, and the villain was also really fucking boring and bland. One of the worst probably villains in all superhero movies. But overall, the overall package is just kind of boring. That's all it really was. So, like, because, when nothing stands out in your movie, it makes the worst aspects of the movie even more exaggerated, which is probably why all the overhate is coming from, right? Madam Web would go here. That's it. But yeah, other than that, I'm tired. Holy shit, I'm out of breath as well. That's talking to yourself for a while is actually pretty hard. Dune 2 just came out too. I want to see that movie so bad. Anyways, yeah, that's about it. I guess I'll see y'all again in 2024. Hopefully I catch up on the movies and stay caught up. But yeah, I guess this is my final tier list. And this should be the last time I'm going to start talking about movies. So yeah. Or at least talk about 2023 movies anyways. Oh, well, I'm not going to make another movie I'm not going to make another updated video just because, I added a couple more movies into the list. But other than that, I might make a community post about it, but that's about it. Other than that, that's about it. Yeah, that's about it. Later, I guess. Okay.